Hi everyone, this is the Traditionalist, and once again we will be continuing our series on the end times, and this time we'll be going over Revelation 12. Alright, so in Revelation 12 it says that a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns on its heads. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth so that it might devour her child the moment he was born. She gave birth to a son, a male child who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter. And her child was snatched up to God and to his throne. The woman fled into the wilderness to a place prepared for her by God, where she might be taken care of for 1,260 days. Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. A great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. Then I heard a loud voice in heaven say, "Now have come the salvation and the power, and the kingdom of our God, and the authority of his Messiah. For the accuser of our brothers and sisters, who accuses them before our God day and night, has been hurled down. They triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony. They did not love their lives so much as to shrink from death. Therefore rejoice, you heavens, and you who dwell in them. But woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has gone down to you. He is filled with fury, because he knows that his time is short." When the dragon saw that he had been hurled to earth, he pursued the woman who had given birth to the male child. The woman was given the 2 wings of a great eagle so that she might fly to the place prepared for her in the wilderness, where she would be taken care of for a time, times and half a time, out of the serpent's reach. Then from his mouth the serpent spewed water like a river to overtake the woman and sweep her away with a torrent. But the earth helped the woman by opening its mouth and swallowing the river that the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. Then the dragon was enraged at the woman and went off to wage war against the rest of her offspring, those who keep God's command and hold fast their testimony about Jesus. Now, this is definitely a very interesting thing to look at. Now, again, since this is, something that hasn't happened physically or, historically in our timeline, it is hard to exactly interpret this, but I will give my best understanding of what this means. Clearly, the person who is being given birth to is Jesus, because as it says, it is a male child, and he is the one who saves the world. And the dragon, well, it says it even right there in Revelation 12:9, that ancient serpent called the devil or Satan. So we know who that is. Now, who the woman is a little more mysterious. Now, Catholics will say it's Mary, but if we look at the story, it doesn't really make sense. Yeah, at first you might think it is because, she gives birth to Jesus, but then later on, as we see, there's a serpent that, tries to create a river to kill her, and then, wants to devour the child, that is, from the moment he's born. And none of this is mentioned in the Bible, so I doubt it's Mary. And also it says the rest of her offspring are those who keep God's command and hold fast their testimony about Jesus. And so maybe the woman could be representative of the church. Maybe it could just kind of be a personification of holiness. I'm not 100% sure. This is still something I'm not sure about, but it is something interesting to think about. Now, another interesting thing to point out is how the dragon has 7 heads and 10 horns, because we see this later on in Revelation, and this is kind of the same thing with the Antichrist as well. So that's something to keep your eyes out for. But anyways, it seems that at least the beginning of this passage refers more to things that happened before, because it said that, the dragon was trying to devour the child, and then that's when the war broke out in heaven, and then Michael and his angels fought against it, and then that's when the devil is banished and sent essentially to hell. I mean, although this is still somewhat of an unclear passage, the main thing we can learn from this is that indeed, to sum it up, basically, Jesus was created to save the world. Satan tried to fight against him. There was a war in heaven. He got banished. and then Jesus came down as the Messiah, as the Savior, and then finally this devil pursues the woman, but nevertheless he failed. So if you have your own interpretations, I'd be glad to hear them, because even I am not 100% sure about the meaning of this, but it's still interesting to think about. So, anyways, if you're enjoying this, or if you want to learn more, then don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so you can see the rest of my series on the end times.